I never thought one sentence from my mother could freeze me like that. Christmas Eve, warm lights, my daughter laughing, and Mom's voice cutting through it all. "Don't answer the phone after midnight." I laughed at first. Who wouldn't? It sounded like a line from some old ghost story. But when I looked at her face, pale, tense, her fingers tight around my wrist, I stopped. Those weren't the eyes of a woman telling a bedtime warning. They were the eyes of someone who'd just seen the wolf at the door. The night had been everything I thought Christmas should be. My wife Anna had outdone herself. Roast beef, garlic potatoes, wine poured into mismatched glasses because we'd run out of the nice ones. My daughter Lily, 9 years old and buzzing with too much sugar, kept bouncing between unwrapping gifts and building Lego castles on the rug. The fireplace was crackling, the tree lights blinking soft colors across the room. But one thing was missing. My brother, David. He'd promised he'd come, even texted earlier in the week about bringing a gift for Lily. Part of me was relieved he hadn't shown up. Another part of me kept glancing at the door like I was waiting for a storm to crash through it. David and we've never been good at holidays. Something about family gatherings always seemed to drag out the worst in him. Old grudges, slights that no one remembered except him. And maybe that's why, when Mom pulled me aside, her voice low, I didn't brush her off completely. "Don't answer the phone after midnight." "Mom, what are you talking about?" I tried to laugh it off, shaking my head. Her grip tightened. "Promise me, Michael, if the phone rings after midnight, don't pick up." Her voice cracked on the word, "don't." And that's what made my stomach twist. This wasn't intuition. It wasn't some vague mother's worry. She knew something. I pulled back gently. "Mom, it's Christmas. No one's calling me after midnight." She didn't let go of my arm right away. She just stared, and then whispered, "You'll understand." I wanted to ask more, but Anna walked in carrying another plate of dessert, Lily behind her, holding up a drawing she'd made. The moment broke. Mom forced a smile and went to sit down, but I caught her wiping her palms on her skirt, as if her hands were shaking. The night rolled on, but the words stayed lodged in my head. By 11:30, the house had quieted. Anna tucked Lily into bed, while Mom insisted on staying up with me to watch It's a Wonderful Life on TV. She wasn't really watching. Her eyes kept flicking to the clock. I poured us both another glass of wine, but even that felt wrong. My hands wouldn't stop fidgeting with the glass stem. The second hand on the clock ticked louder than the movie dialogue. Anna came back into the living room, rubbing her arms from the chill. "What's with you two? You're acting like you're waiting for a bomb to go off." I forced a laugh. "Just tired. Long day." But she wasn't buying it. Her eyes narrowed, lingering on my mother's stiff posture. "Everything okay?" "Everything's fine," I lied. At 12:05, the silence became unbearable. Even the movie seemed muted, background noise to the hammering in my chest. At 12:09, I thought about calling it a night, turning in. Pretend Mom's warning was just nerves. Then, at 12:11, the phone rang. The sound sliced through the house, sharp and violent. I froze. Mom's hand clutched my arm again, nails digging into my skin. The screen lit up, David. For a moment, the entire world shrank to that name glowing in the dark. My throat went dry. My finger hovered over the phone, muscle memory screaming at me to pick it up. He's my brother. What if it's important? What if he's in trouble? "Don't," Mom whispered. Her voice wasn't a request this time. It was a command. I stood there, watching it ring, every buzz rattling my ribs. My heart beat with every vibration. Anna glanced between us, confused, but said nothing. Then it stopped. The silence afterward was worse than the ringing. Heavy, suffocating, final. I turned to Mom. Her face softened, the tension breaking into something like relief. She closed her eyes, let out a breath she'd been holding for hours. That's when the chill really sank in. She hadn't guessed. She hadn't been paranoid. She knew, and that terrified me more than the ringing phone ever could. Morning light spilled across the living room like nothing had happened. Coffee steamed on the table. Wrapping paper lay in bright crumples under the tree. But my phone wouldn't stop rattling against the wood. Missed calls stacked on missed calls, voicemails piling up like a threat. The first was from David, then a few from unknown numbers, then one with a local exchange that made my stomach knot. I let it buzz until Anna touched my hand. You have to answer something, she said softly. You've been staring at it for an hour. I swiped. Mr. Carter? A steady voice asked. This is Officer Vargas from Central. Your brother, David Carter, was taken into custody last night at 11:45 p.m. after an altercation outside the harbor tap. He asked us to contact you. My mouth went dry. Is he? I didn't know which word to pick. Hurt? Alive? Sorry? He's being processed, Vargas said. Multiple witness statements. He indicated you could confirm his whereabouts around midnight. A pause. Said you were together. I stared at the blinking lights on the tree. We weren't. Understood. Papers shuffled on his end. He called you at 12:11 a.m. If you had answered, we would have needed a statement. That's all for now. The call clicked dead. I realized I'd been holding my breath. Anna watched me carefully. Was it him? Police, I said. Bar fight at 11:45. He tried to use me. She exhaled hard, equal parts relief and anger. So your mom, she knew. I turned. Mom was at the sink, back stiff, hands braced on the counter like she was trying to hold the house steady. Mom, I said. The word came out smaller than I meant it to. She didn't turn. Coffee? Why were you so certain? I asked. This time, she faced me. Her eyes looked older than yesterday. Because he told me he'd call you, she said. Not directly. You know how he is. He came by 2 days ago, picked a fight about money, about Christmas, about everything. When he left, he said, watch how fast your favorite answers when I really need him. Her voice faltered. I should have told you then. I wanted to be wrong. I wanted Christmas to be quiet. I wanted. She pressed a hand to her chest. I heard his tone. I knew it wasn't a request. Something in my ribs twisted. You kept that to yourself. I kept hoping, she said, and the way she said it sounded like a sentence. Hoping he'd cool off. Hoping I wasn't feeding the fire. Last night I couldn't hope anymore. Anna slid a mug toward me. The mug had a cartoon snowman on it Lily loved. Coffee shook under my hand. Officer said if I'd picked up, they would have taken my statement, I said. He wanted me to say we were together by midnight. Mom blinked hard. He wanted you tangled in it. The phone buzzed again. A new voicemail. I didn't have to listen to know how it would sound. David pleading, snarling, switching tones mid-sentence like he could find the one that would turn me. Dad. Lily's voice floated down the stairs. Hesitant. She padded into the room in mismatched socks, hair bent from sleep. Is Uncle David coming? All the practiced answers dissolved on my tongue. I crouched to her level, felt her warm hands on my shoulders. Not today, Bug, I said. He can't. She searched my face for the thing I wasn't saying. Kids always do. Is he mad at us? No, the lie was soft and necessary. Finish your cocoa, okay? She nodded and went back to the stairs, pausing halfway to look over the railing at the tree, if it might explain grown-ups. The house swallowed her footsteps. The silence afterward had weight. Anna folded herself onto the couch beside me. This is going to break something, she said. Isn't it? It already did. Mom dried her hands with the dish towel and kept talking like she'd been practicing the words for years. When you were 7 and he was 5, he broke your red truck because you got it and he didn't, she said. He cried that he made it fair. When you were 12, he told me you cheated on that spelling bee even though he watched you study for weeks. When he was 16 and totaled your father's car, he said you'd taken it last and must have cracked the axle. He has always needed you to be dirty so he could be clean. I saw it then, not as a montage but as a string knotted around my throat. Christmas mornings with lopsided smiles. Report cards lined up on the table, one praised, one compared. Mom split herself between the boy who did his homework and the boy who smoldered. Things I forgave because that's what brothers do. Another voicemail icon lit up. I pressed play before I could stop myself. Static. Then David's breath. Pick up, Mike. Just say we were together after midnight. Just say I left your place at 12:30. That's all. 5 minutes. You owe me. The tone shifted. If you don't, they're going to pin this. You know what that means. Don't do this to me. The last words came out like he believed them. I deleted it. My hand shook. Anna rested her head against my shoulder. He knows exactly what he's asking you to give up. My name, I said. My business. Lily's life. Everything. Mom sat at the table across from us and smoothed the dish towel like she could iron time. I've told myself for years that if I loved him harder, he would stop seeing you as the thief, she said. I was wrong. Love didn't make him softer. It made him smarter. Meaning, he learned where to cut. Her gaze held mine. Christmas Eve. Midnight. Tradition and guilt, and your guard is down. He picked the place where you'd answer before you thought. The truth of it rang through me like the phone had. He wasn't sloppy. He'd chosen the exact minute he thought I'd be most likely to pick up. Not late enough to be obvious trouble. Just late enough that family would excuse it. Lily reappeared with a drawing, the four of us standing under a crooked star. She handed it to Mom. This is us, she said. And that's Uncle David. She'd drawn him smiling. Kids always draw the ending they want. Mom's mouth trembled. It's beautiful, she whispered, like it hurt. I took the drawing and felt the paper shiver in my hand. I pictured explaining all of this to Lily one day, why we didn't go to Uncle David's birthday, why the chair at Grandma's table stayed empty. How do you say your brother wanted you ruined because he thought ruin would even the score? Anna squeezed my knee. Call the officer back, she said gently. Make it clear. Then we decide what boundaries look like. I nodded. Clarity felt like drowning and air at the same time. I called Vargas, left a measured message. I wasn't with David. I couldn't confirm anything after we left the family gathering hours earlier. I would not be providing statements beyond that. Clean. Final. When I hung up, Mom reached across the table and took my hand the way she used to when I was small and the world was too loud. I'm sorry, she said, for not telling you sooner, for letting it get this far, for thinking my hope could hold back his anger. Something in me wanted to curl against the apology and sleep for a week. Another part wanted to stand and shout. Both parts loved her. Both parts were tired. I looked at the tree, at the lights blinking their patient code. We open presents after breakfast, I said. We stick to routine. For Lily. Anna nodded. For Lily. Mom swallowed. For Lily. My phone buzzed again. One last voicemail sliding onto the stack. I didn't listen. I set the phone face down on the table, the way you cover a mirror in a house of mourning, and sat there with the two people who were still mine while the coffee cooled between us and the wrapping paper shone like a field of small, bright wounds. The house felt quieter than it should have been. Lily had taken her new toys to the living room, filling the space with the soft click of plastic parts snapping together. But even that cheerful sound couldn't mask the weight pressing on my chest. The coffee had long gone cold, and yet the taste of it still clung bitterly in my mouth. I couldn't stop replaying that missed call in my mind. The screen lighting up at 12:11. David's name glowing like a warning flare. Just one reflexive motion, one thoughtless swipe, and everything I loved could have gone up in smoke. I needed air. I needed answers. Mom was in her bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed with her hands folded neatly in her lap, staring at the floor. She looked like someone bracing for a verdict. When she noticed me in the doorway, she tried to smile, but it wilted before it reached her eyes. Mike, she said, voice hoarse. Come in. I closed the door behind me. You knew more than you said last night. Her shoulders sagged. I've known more for years. I sat down in the chair across from her. Then why not warn me before? Why wait until Christmas Eve? She rubbed her palms together like she was trying to warm them, though the room was already heated. Because every time I saw the signs, I told myself I was imagining them, that he was just angry, just having a phase. I kept thinking he'd grow out of it. What signs? My voice cracked sharper than I meant it to. Her gaze drifted past me, like she was seeing years pile up on the wall. When he was 12, you remember how he punched that neighbor boy for teasing you? Yeah. He said the kid called me names. Her lips pressed thin. He admitted later the boy hadn't said a word. He just wanted to see if I'd defend him the same way I defended you. I shifted in my seat. A knot formed in my stomach. After your father left, she continued, David stopped seeing me as his mother. He started seeing me as the judge in a trial he could never win. You did well in school. You kept busy. I leaned on you because you made it easy, and he decided that was favoritism. That's not on me, I said. though even to my ears it sounded defensive. I know, she whispered. But to him, every time I praised you was proof I loved him less. He'd needle you because it made him feel bigger. He'd pick fights because at least then he wasn't invisible. When he broke things, when he lashed out, I made excuses. I told myself he was struggling, that if I just gave him more time. She closed her eyes. I let it fester. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A number I didn't recognize, but I didn't need to. I picked it up, staring at the caller ID. Jail line, I muttered. Don't, Mom said quickly, but the anger in me wanted his voice. I pressed accept and held it up to my ear. Well, David's voice drawled, slow and smug. The prodigal golden boy answers after all. My grip on the phone tightened. What do you want? He chuckled. Oh, relax. I'm not calling to beg. I know you wouldn't lift a finger unless it polished your halo. Just thought I'd congratulate you. You finally got the proof you always needed. Didn't you? Big brother's the screw-up. Little brother's the saint. You tried to drag me down with you. His laugh was sharp. Tried? No, Mike. If you'd picked up last night, you'd already be sitting here beside me. They'd have matched our timelines, matched our lies, and you'd be tangled in the mess forever. That was the point. Something inside me snapped. Why, David? Why me? You really don't get it, do you? His voice dropped lower, harsher. All my life it's been you. Mom clapping at your spelling bees. Mom was beaming when you brought home the report cards. Mom is telling me to be more like you. You stole her love and left me with scraps. And you think I just forgive that? That's not stealing. That's her loving both of us. He sneered audibly through the line. Don't kid yourself. She picked you. And if she hadn't, you would have picked yourself anyway. This? He rattled the receiver against metal. This is balance. You lose what you took. Simple as that. I wanted to shout back, but the words twisted in my throat, because suddenly, a memory hit me. I was 15. Dad had been gone 2 years. David barged into my room one night, face red, eyes glassy. She's only proud of you because you're her little man now, he'd spat. You're her replacement husband. You'll see. She doesn't need me anymore. I'd shoved him out, told him to grow up. But the look on his face, the mix of pain and hatred, I'd never forgotten it. Mike! His voice crackled through the line. Still there. I forced my breath steady. You nearly ruined my life. My wife. My kid. For a grudge you never let go. That's the difference between us. He sounded almost proud. You build things. I burn them. And you can't stop me from lighting the match. The guard's voice cut in. Time's up. The call ended. I stared at the silent phone like it had grown teeth. Mom's voice was fragile. What did he say? I met her eyes. He wanted me in the cell next to him. And the worst part? He thought he was right. The realization landed like a body blow. He hadn't stumbled into that fight drunk and reckless. He'd gone out knowing what time he'd call, what lie he'd tell, how to place me in the blast radius. Every second of it was planned. And all of it hinged on a single answered call. I pressed the heel of my hand against my forehead, the room spinning. One reflex, one moment of loyalty, and Lily would have been visiting her father through glass. Anna would have been raising her voice in court instead of our daughter in peace. Everything I'd worked for, my family, my freedom, all of it almost disappeared into the void of David's bitterness. I had never felt closer to losing it all. Mom reached for my hand, but this time I pulled back. You should have told me sooner, I said, my voice shaking. You knew this wasn't just anger. You knew it was something darker. Her eyes shone with tears she didn't let fall. And I'll regret that silence for the rest of my life. I walked out before I could answer, each step heavy, my mind echoing with David's smirk and the truth I could no longer deny. My brother hadn't just betrayed me last night. He'd been rehearsing this betrayal for years. The silence in the house had grown unbearable. Anna tried to pretend it was Christmas still, humming carols under her breath while she made pancakes. But her eyes kept flicking toward me, reading the tension I couldn't hide. Lily asked again why Uncle David wasn't coming over. Her little voice filled with innocence I couldn't stomach. I gave her the same hollow smile, the same evasive answer, but inside I was unraveling. Avoiding him was like letting poison sit in an open wound. Every second I ignored it, the infection spread. If I didn't face him now, he'd linger in my head forever. That afternoon, I drove to the county jail. The roads were dusted white with slush, festive lights twinkling mockingly in the distance. But nothing about the drive felt like Christmas. I checked in, signed papers, and handed over my wallet and phone. The guard buzzed me through, and the moment I stepped inside, the air grew heavier. Cold, metallic, suffocating. They led me into a visitation booth. Plastic chair, thick pane of scratched glass. I sat down, heart thudding so loud it felt like it would echo through the building. And then he walked in. David, shackled at the wrists, orange jumpsuit hanging loose on his frame. He didn't look broken. He didn't look ashamed. He looked smug, like a man who'd lost the battle but thought he'd won the war. He sat down across from me, picked up the phone with lazy confidence, and smirked. Well, look who finally showed. I forced myself to lift the receiver. Why? My voice came out harder than I expected. Why drag me into this? Drag you? He chuckled. No, Mikey. That was me giving you a starring role. I figured you'd appreciate the attention. You always do. My jaw tightened. You tried to ruin my life. His smirk widened. Correction. I almost ruined your life. And the best part? You'll never know how close you came. That's gonna haunt you longer than any prison cell will haunt me. I clenched my fist under the table, knuckles whitening. You wanted me in here with you. Damn right, he said without hesitation. All my life. She's loved you more. You were the golden boy, the savior. Me? I was the screw-up, the disappointment. Every Christmas, every birthday, every conversation. She made it clear. And you soaked it up. David, don't. His voice sharpened, cutting through the glass. Don't play dumb. Don't tell me she loved us equally. You got the gifts, the tuition, the pride. I got the scraps. I got the lectures. She made me invisible unless I was screwing up. So yeah, this was payback. And let me tell you, watching you squirm right now, worth every second. The words landed like blades. My chest tightened, each accusation dragging up old memories. Mom at my high school graduation, tears in her eyes while David sulked in the back row. Mom clapped at my spelling bee while David sat with crossed arms. Ignored. Little things, moments I never thought twice about. But to him, they were proof. Proof that I'd stolen something from him without even trying. You think this makes you even? I asked, my voice trembling. This makes me free, he shot back. Free from the shadow of St. Michael. Free from the lie that I was ever good enough. I don't need Mom's approval. I don't need yours. All I needed was to drag you down once. And I almost did. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. His eyes weren't wild, weren't desperate. They were calm, satisfied. He wasn't spiraling. He was fulfilled. That realization cracked something inside me. I had walked in hoping, maybe against reason, that I'd see regret, that I'd hear even a flicker of apology, or at least anger twisted with guilt. But there was none. No shame, no remorse, just smug satisfaction. I leaned closer, gripping the receiver so hard it creaked. You don't get it. You didn't just fail. You showed me exactly who you are. There's no going back from this. His grin didn't falter. Good. Now you finally see me. The guard tapped his watch, signaling the end. David leaned back, phone still to his ear, and whispered, Merry Christmas, golden boy. I slammed the receiver down and stood. My legs felt heavy, my throat raw. I walked out without looking back, the sound of his laughter chasing me down the hallway. The cold air outside hit me like a slap, but it didn't clear the fog in my chest. I gripped the steering wheel in the parking lot, staring at my reflection in the windshield. He wasn't broken by this. He was fed by it. Driving home, the truth hardened in me like ice. This wasn't just jealousy. This wasn't just a lifetime of sibling rivalry boiling over. It was a vendetta, sharpened over decades, aimed at me like a weapon he'd never put down. There would be no reconciliation, no apology, no healing. David had made his choice, and so had I. When I walked through the front door, Anna was waiting in the hall, searching my face for answers I couldn't give. I shook my head once, and she understood. She didn't press. She just touched my hand and led me back inside. But even as the warmth of home closed around me, I knew my brother's smirk would follow me forever. And this war between us wasn't over, it had only changed shape. Back home, the house felt smaller. The lights Anna had strung around the tree blinked cheerfully, but every flash seemed to mock me, reminding me of the cell where my brother sat smirking. I tried to sit with Lily as she played with her new dolls, but my hands trembled too much to hold anything steady. My anger was a live wire, humming under my skin. Anna noticed before I said a word. She pulled me aside into the kitchen, her voice low but sharp. "Michael, stop. She can't see you like this." I ran a hand through my hair, pacing in tight circles. "He wanted me destroyed, Anna. He wanted Lily to grow up visiting me behind glass." "I know." Her tone softened, but her eyes stayed firm. "That's exactly why you can't let him win. Don't let David's poison touch our daughter. She deserves better than carrying his shadow." Her words landed hard. I glanced into the living room, where Lily's laughter carried without a clue of what was unraveling behind closed doors. And she was right. Every bit of rage I carried was a doorway for David to walk through. But knowing that didn't make it disappear. Later, when the house quieted, Mom came over. She didn't wait for an invitation. She just slipped in, eyes rimmed red, hands gripping each other like she was afraid they'd betray her too. She sat at the table, refusing to meet my eyes until she finally blurted, "Please, please don't go back there. Stay away from him." My jaw clenched. "That's it? That's your advice? After all these years of ignoring what he was becoming?" Her face crumpled, and guilt poured out like a dam breaking. "You think I didn't see it? The fights, the bitterness, the way he twisted every kindness into a wound? I saw it. I always saw it. And I kept hoping it would fade. That if I shielded him, if I kept him from the worst consequences, he'd change." Her hands shook. "But I made it worse. I fed the grudge. I let him believe he was the victim." The air in my chest snapped, and I exploded. Years of swallowed words ripped free. "You enabled him. Every time he screwed up, you covered it. Every time he lashed out, you told me to be the bigger person. You let him sharpen that knife against me for decades, and I'm the one bleeding for it now." Tears rolled down her cheeks, her voice breaking. "Because I couldn't lose him. Not after your father left. I thought if I kept him close, if I kept excusing him, maybe I wouldn't lose both of you." The kitchen felt suffocating. Anna lingered by the doorway, silent, watching the wreckage unfold. I slammed my hand on the table, the sound sharp enough to make Mom flinch. "You didn't lose him, Mom. You gave him away. You let him rot in resentment until all that was left of my brother was hatred for me." For a long moment, the only sound was her sobbing. Finally, she whispered, "Christmas Eve. That was the first time I chose you over my denial. I knew he would try something. I didn't know how, but I felt it. And for once, I couldn't ignore it. If I hadn't said anything, you'd be sitting in a cell right now." Her words were a knife with two edges. Gratitude carved through me. She had saved me, pulled me from the trap David set. But right behind it was betrayal, deeper than anything David had confessed. She could have stopped this years ago. She could have cut off his spiral before it wrapped around my throat. Instead, she chose silence until it almost destroyed me. I leaned back, shaking my head. "So now I'm supposed to thank you? For saving me once after a lifetime of feeding the fire?" She covered her face, shoulders shaking. "I don't deserve your forgiveness. I couldn't watch him take you down. Not this time." I stared at her, the woman who raised me, who warned me, who also abandoned me in her own way. My anger and my gratitude twisted together until I couldn't tell one from the other. For the first time, I realized this betrayal wasn't just David's. It was hers, too. Different in shape, but just as sharp. And there was no clean way to cut it out of my life. Anna stepped forward then, resting a hand on my arm, grounding me. "Michael," she whispered. Enough. But the truth had already lodged itself in my chest. My mother had saved me, and she had nearly sacrificed me. Both were true. And I didn't know which one I'd remember more. 2 days later, the decorations still clung to the walls like ghosts. The tree blinked, but its cheer was hollow. Wrapping paper still lay crumpled in corners. Untouched plates of cookies hardened on the counter. Christmas hadn't passed, it had curdled. News came quickly. David was officially charged. Assault, property damage, resisting arrest. His attempt to spin me as his alibi had collapsed under police scrutiny. They had surveillance, witness statements, no chance of it sticking to me. On paper, I was clear. But innocence doesn't erase betrayal. It doesn't fix the way a single phone call at 12:11 a.m. could have shattered my life forever. Mom's name kept lighting up my phone. 30 missed calls by noon, 50 by evening. Her voicemails stacked up, heavy with tears. "Michael, please talk to me. I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. I should have stopped him." Her voice cracked in one message. In another, it broke entirely. I listened to some, deleted most. The sound of her regret didn't soften me. It hardened me. I thought ignoring her would get easier. Didn't. Every buzz of my phone felt like another knock at the door I didn't want to open. On the third day, she came in person. I heard her car before I saw her. She didn't bring excuses. She brought a small, wrapped box for Lily. She handed it over carefully, her eyes never quite meeting mine. Lily tore into it, thrilled to find a stuffed reindeer inside. She hugged it close, giggling, the only person in the room untouched by the storm. Mom tried to smile. It wavered, fragile. "Merry Christmas, sweetheart," she whispered to Lily. Then her gaze slid to me, desperate for something, anything, forgiveness, maybe, a chance to patch what had split wide open. But I stayed still, arms folded, leaning in the doorway like stone. My silence said what I couldn't. "You're here, but you're not inside." When she finally left, her shoulders sagged, and she looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. For a moment, guilt flickered in me. But then I remembered David's smirk. His words, "She always loved you more." This was payback. And I remembered her tears at the table, confessing decades of silence, decades of letting him sharpen that blade. I closed the door behind her. This time I locked it. I turned back to see Lily curled on the couch, the reindeer already clutched like an old friend, Anna watching me with a quiet, steady gaze. I crossed the room and pulled them both close, the only certainty I had left. I whispered it to myself as much as to them. "I'll protect my family first." David was out of my life. My mother? She lingered on the edge, close enough to knock, too far to trust. That night, as the snow pressed heavily on the roof, I stood by the window. Lily's laughter drifted from the other room, faint but alive, a sound I clung to like oxygen. Behind it, though, was a weight that wouldn't lift. The weight of betrayal. Not from strangers, not from enemies. From blood. From the same walls that raised me. Christmas would come again, but not the same. Never the same. What would you have done if your own brother tried to drag you down just to settle an old grudge? Do you think my mom was right to keep silent until Christmas Eve? Or should she have warned me years ago? Drop your thoughts below, and if you want more twisted betrayal stories, make sure you hit subscribe.